How do you guys personally take care of your mental, emotional energy?
I think that anybody who's involved, particularly in the healthcare fields, there's a difficult balance between like taking care of yourself, the person, and then caring for others. But you went into this field to take care of others, and some days are harder than others, and you give more than you get, and other days you get more than you give. As far as how an individual needs to approach their own particular needs from like a mental health standpoint, I think services that are underutilized are mental health services. If you feel better talking to a counselor or some sort of psychiatrist, that can all be useful. Me personally, I have found reasonably good sort of balance, if you will, by trying to maintain a set of boundaries that works for me. Meaning that it's pretty easy to get kind of really involved in somebody else's sort of, like this is their journey and this is how I'm helping them. And these are all their issues that we're kind of working out. But I have to also step back and understand that's not my particular situation. And in addition, it's maybe not okay if they're emailing me 5 or 6 times a day. And so creating those boundaries where, hey, this is the expectations that we're setting as far as communication, like frequency, style, what I can be responsible for. But I think overall, having some sort of boundaries, like professionalism boundaries are useful. I think also kind of understanding the field that you're getting into, kind of expect some of this, and then using like mental health services would also be useful. Like counselors need counselors. It's very this is underutilized, and then I don't know that there's any reliable, like a specific approach that I think universally works for all folks. So finding your kind of stuff that makes it viable for you can be useful.
I mean, burnout is super common in medicine, and among some specialties more than others. I get to see horrible things very frequently, and burnout is common around me as well among kind of fellow clinicians. So I definitely agree with everything that Jordan said with respect to professional boundaries outside of work, for example. If you feel like you're having issues from a mental health standpoint, using those kind of resources. As far as my own personal habits on this front, this is a big part of why people say, how is it that you've gone like a decade and missed 1 week of training? It's like, well, this is why I make sure that I train, because for me personally, that is my most useful way to maintain some kind of control over my life, some aspect of consistency, something that I enjoy, that I can look forward to. Whenever I do end up getting out of the hospital, whether it's early or late, I plan to train regardless and don't skip that session, even if it's 10 or 11 at night. I did that plenty of times in residency, because that gave me a sense of continued control over my life. That's a big part, is if you feel like you're not in control, right? So loss of self-efficacy over your situation, loss of autonomy, that can be a big deal. And then similarly, if you're a coach, biting off more than you can chew can be a big problem, right? In terms of your client load, for example, something that you actually do have control over. There was a period of time when I was in residency where I was doing similarly like multiple jobs like I do right now, but with respect to residency, I did not have control over my life. I had to be in the hospital at certain times and responsible for whatever was going on there at that particular time. And then I had these other things, coaching and some telemedicine stuff I was doing outside that I did have some control over, but I definitely bit off more than I can chew. And I cracked pretty hard around that period of time. Recognized that I bit off way more than I could chew, but at the same time, I knew that I was still training, and I knew that it was temporary and that it wasn't going to be like that forever, right? And so ultimately, fortunately, was able to get through that and have other things that I can kind of look forward to and enjoy. But I've definitely am currently in a period of time where I'm actually trying to scale back a little bit of how much I'm doing, because I'm like, do I really need to be doing this much right now, as far as all the things that I tackle and work on at the same time? And the very clear and obvious answer is no, despite the fact that I still do them. So definitely easier said than done, and I don't have it perfected either. But everything Jordan said, as well as paying attention to your workload to the extent that you have control over it. If you have more control over it, that's awesome, and scaling back if you need to. And my bias is definitely training, as far as some measure of consistency and constancy, and something I do have control over. That may be something different for you. Take advantage of that, whatever that may be.